Hi, I'm Antonia. This is Universally Me. Please subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Antonia Carlotta, and support my work on Patreon, patreon.com/Antonia Carlotta. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Hank Mason. Thank you so much for your contribution. It really means so much to me that there are some people that have been following my videos and a part of this community for so long now, and that you guys participate and care, so thanks so much. Imitation of Life is one of my favorite old Universal films. Well, actually maybe it was one of my favorite Universal films. It's actually kind of in question right now, and this video is the reason why. I probably first saw Imitation of Life about 10 years ago, and I fell in love with it immediately. So making this video was sort of supposed to be kind of an excuse to watch it. I just wanted to learn a little bit more about behind the scenes and the actors and the impact that the movie had on film and society. But it turns out that there is a lot more than I realized to the movie. So this is actually going to be two videos. This first one, which is sort of about the movie and the facts itself. And then the second one, which is going to be about the problems with Imitation of Life. There were actually two Imitation of Life films that were released by Universal, and both of them were really well received. The one that I will talk about most today is the 1934 version. Imitation of Life is based off of the book by Fannie Hurst, which came out in 1933. And according to an article on TCM.com, the book was based off of a road trip to Canada that Fannie Hurst took with her good friend Zora Neale Hurston. The film was produced by my great uncle Carl Laemmle Jr. and directed by John M. Stahl. And John M. Stahl and Fannie Hurst had previously worked together at Universal on the 1932 film Backstreet. I really liked the IMDb summary for the film. In Imitation of Life, a struggling widow and her daughter take in a black housekeeper and her fair-skinned daughter. The two women start a successful business, but face familial, identity, and racial issues along the way. The widow's name is Bee Pullman, and at the beginning of the film, her husband has recently died, and she's struggling trying to make ends meet and keep everything together. Delilah Johnson, a black housekeeper, mistakenly shows up at Bee's door, but agrees to work as Bee's housekeeper in exchange for room and board for herself and her young daughter, Peola. The two mothers open up a pancake business and actually become quite wealthy and successful. Their daughters are close, but tensions grow. So Jessie, Bee's daughter, at one point falls in love with her mother's new boyfriend. And Peola, more seriously, is white passing. And throughout the film, she grows more and more ashamed of her mother and her heritage. And this is the storyline that really makes Imitation of Life so important and impactful. Imitation of Life stars Louise Beavers as Delilah Johnson and Fredi Washington as her daughter Peola, Claudette Colbert as Bee Pullman, and Rochelle Hudson as her daughter Jessie. It also features Warren William, who had previously worked with Claudette Colbert on Cleopatra, and Ned Sparks. 14 males screen tested to play opposite Claudette Colbert, and more than 220 girls auditioned to play the daughters at various ages. The budget for Imitation of Life was $665,000. Universal built 48 different sets for the film, including one that cost $10,000 alone. Authenticity and realism were really emphasized in building the sets, so they built an entire townhouse with 15 rooms that included a working kitchen, a garden, an East River view with model boats, and a small-scale replica of the 59th Street Bridge. They also built the boardwalk and Bee and Delilah's restaurant, and mixed a vat of actual pancake mix every day. I even read that they sent an expedition to sea to collect real fish because Warren Williams' character is a marine biologist, so they wanted fish for his plays. And Claudette Colbert wore 18 different gowns and dresses that were specially designed for her by Universal costume designer Vera West. So I can definitely see where the budget went here. Imitation of Life is notable for a few reasons. Most importantly, because it tackles race pretty head on. And in 1934, this was fairly controversial. So not only does the film show two single women who are living together and working together, but it shows a Black woman and a white woman who are running a business together and are also close friends. It also deals with the issue of passing. So Piola is Black, but she can pass for white. And she doesn't really necessarily feel like she belongs in either group. Fredi Washington, who played Piola, was actually Black, and that in itself was really notable. Supposedly, Fredi got a lot of letters from people who were really grateful to her for playing the role, for playing it so well, and for helping to illuminate some of the struggles from within the community. Imitation of Life was not without controversy during filming nor after its release. The Hays Code, which was enacted in 1930, started to be seriously enforced in 1934, just as Imitation of Life was being made. Joseph Breen, one of the censors, objected to Imitation of Life because of the implication of miscegenation, or the idea that maybe a Black person and a white person had been together. Just the implication was enough for him to object. There were versions of the script of Imitation of Life that were rejected all the way up until 2 weeks after filming began. Once released, critics on the more liberal side took issue with the role of Delilah, feeling that the role was outdated or stereotypical. On the other side, there were people who took issue with a white woman going into business with her Black housekeeper. I also found a letter to the editor where someone talked about certain theaters that were actually omitting certain scenes that they didn't agree with. Carl Laemmle promoted Imitation of Life as the best film since All Quiet on the Western Front. It was a box office success and, aside from the issues I just mentioned, also a critical success. Even the critics who referred to it as a shameless tearjerker couldn't help but also admit that it was gripping and powerful. It was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Assistant Director, and Best Sound Mixing. In my opinion, it is a shame that Louise Beavers, Fredi Washington, nor Claudette Colbert were nominated for their acting. In 2005, Imitation of Life was selected for preservation by the United States National Film Registry of the Library of Congress. And in 2007, it was named by Time as one of the 25 most influential films about race. But this is what I want to go back to. So I've always loved Imitation of Life, and I thought it was a great movie. But I think I always thought, well, you have to watch the film through a historic lens, and that you wouldn't watch it with the mindset of today because obviously things have changed. And in some ways this holds true, but it turns out that in other ways there are problems with Imitation of Life that are a problem in any era. So right after this, I am going to put up another video that dives into the problems that I now see with Imitation of Life. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Antonia Carlotta, support my work on Patreon, and let me know what you think of this video, as well as I would love to hear your opinions on my next video. Thank you. Bye.